Welcome back to the channel. If you think the shiny quarters rattling around in your pocket are nothing more than loose change, think again. Tonight, we're exploring the world of commemorative quarters, coins so rare and so hard to find that a few lucky people have turned their discoveries into life-changing money. Some of these coins might be hiding in old jars, dusty drawers, or even inside your childhood coin folder. And if you come across just one of them, it could be worth far more than you'd ever expect. Our first coin takes us back to 1999, the year the U.S. Mint kicked off its famous 50 state quarters program. In that very first group of designs, one coin quietly rose above the rest, the 1999 Connecticut state quarter. At first, it may seem like an ordinary state coin, but for serious collectors, this one holds some shocking surprises. If you take a good look, you'll notice the detailed image of the charter oak, a twisted, ancient tree that became a proud symbol of American independence. The amount of detail on this coin, the twisting branches, and the deep carving made it one of the most praised designs in the whole series. But here's where things get really interesting. Even though the Mint produced hundreds of millions of these quarters, a few rare varieties and minting mistakes have pushed their value to levels most people would never believe. In average shape, a Connecticut quarter might only be worth a few dollars. But one that has never been used, one that's still bright and clean, can jump into the hundreds, and that's only the start. The real gems are the oddball coins, with off-center strikes, doubled images, or shiny proof mistakes that quietly slip through the Mint's machines. Some collectors have found Connecticut quarters where the tree branches appear doubled, or the rim looks slightly off because of a small misalignment. When these unusual coins are graded by top experts, their value can skyrocket. One remarkable example showed a crisp 15% off-center strike with the full date still visible, and it was valued at more than $75,000, but that's not even the wildest part. A tiny number of Connecticut quarters were made using experimental metal blanks, the same type tested for the Sacagawea dollar. Today, these coins are nearly legendary. Only a few have ever been confirmed, and one of them sold privately for around $275,000. Imagine that, a quarter worth almost $500,000. And this isn't just a collector's tall tale. Coin specialists have proven that several of these test pieces slipped into circulation before the final metal mix was chosen for later state quarters. These wrong planchette or transitional strikes are considered the true treasures of the series. And some might still be waiting to be found, hiding in old jars of change or tucked inside forgotten coin books. So if you spot a 1999 Connecticut quarter that looks a little off, maybe the color, weight, or shine seems unusual, don't spend it. You could be holding a once-in-a-lifetime discovery. It's amazing to think that a coin made to honor one of America's oldest symbols of freedom has become its own modern legend of luck and fortune. Now let's step back into the past with the 2000 Virginia state quarter, a coin that doesn't just show history, but truly carries it. Even when this quarter has a warm brown tone from years of use, it still has a special charm that collectors all over the country notice. The Virginia quarter came out in 2000 to honor the 400th anniversary of Jamestown, the first long-lasting English settlement in America. Its design shows three famous ships: the Susan Constant, the Godspeed, and the Discovery, the very boats that brought the first settlers to the New World in 1607. It's a powerful design that captures the beginning of America. But here's where things get exciting. While most of these coins were made perfectly, a small number slipped out with some of the most valuable mistakes in the entire state quarter series. And if you have one in your collection, especially one with that natural brown aging, you'll want to listen closely. Collectors have found several off-metal strikes, which means the coin was accidentally made on the wrong type of metal blank. Some of these blanks were likely meant for other U.S. coins or even foreign coins. One Virginia quarter struck on a Sacagawea dollar blank, giving it a gold-like shine, sold for around $135,000. Another with a bold off-center strike sold for nearly $80,000 simply because the design was shifted, yet the date and ship details were still clear. And it doesn't stop there. Some Virginia quarters show doubled sails or extra lines in the ship rigging. These rare double-die errors make the ships look ghostly, almost like they're moving across the water. High-grade examples with these mistakes have reached prices up to $150,000. Even a brown, well-worn quarter like the one we're talking about could be hiding something valuable. That dark toning isn't always just age. Sometimes it hints at a copper-based planchet or a test metal used during a transition period. Pay attention to unusual color, steady shine, or changes in weight. If your 2000 Virginia quarter feels heavier or lighter than a normal quarter, it might have been struck on the wrong blank, and that's when the serious value begins. Think about it. A simple 25-cent coin, created to honor America's beginnings, could now be worth enough to buy a house. That's the magic of coin collecting. It reminds us that history isn't only found in museums, it's right in our pockets, waiting for someone to spot it. So before you spend that old Virginia quarter, take a closer look. What seems like a plain brown coin could actually be your golden ticket to a six-figure reward. Next on our journey, we head west far past the plains, beyond the deserts, all the way to the land of tall mountains, deep pine forests, and wide, open skies. It's a place that feels wild, strong, and free. And it's the home of one of the most impressive designs ever placed on a modern U.S. quarter, the 2007 Idaho State Quarter. At first glance, this coin almost takes your breath away. Right in the center, you see a fierce peregrine falcon, wings stretched in mid-flight, as if it's rushing forward with purpose. Below it sits Idaho's motto, Esto Perpetua, which translates to May it last forever. For Idaho, it's not just a fancy phrase. It's a reminder of the state's natural strength, its timeless beauty, and the spirit of the people who live there. But what makes this coin truly unforgettable has nothing to do with the artwork, at least not at first. It's something hidden beneath the surface, something most people never notice. Under that powerful design lies one of the biggest minting mysteries of the entire 50-state quarters program. And it turned certain Idaho quarters from simple pocket change into valuable treasures worth thousands, and sometimes hundreds of thousands of dollars. Let's take a slow, close look at how that happened. When the U.S. Mint made the Idaho quarters in 2007, millions rolled off the presses as smooth and perfect as expected. But a tiny number, just a tiny fraction, came out with unusual, eye-catching mistakes. These weren't small dents or scratches from circulation. These were actual minting errors, flaws created during the production process. And those kinds of mistakes are what serious collectors dream about. Soon after the coin's release, collectors started to notice something odd. Some Idaho quarters showed a strange shadow-like doubling on the falcon's wings. Others had doubling on the word Liberty, making the letters look thicker or slightly stretched. Some even had doubling in the thin text along the rim, a place most people never think to look. At first, these tiny quirks seemed random, but as more examples surfaced, experts recognized them for what they were: double die errors. A double die error happens when the metal die used to strike the design onto the coin is made incorrectly, usually struck twice at slightly different angles. When the mint uses that flawed die to strike coins, every coin it touches carries the same doubled pattern. These errors can be subtle, but once you know what to look for, they're unmistakable. And because they were never meant to happen, they're incredibly valuable. Even an Idaho quarter that's been carried in pockets, passed through hands, or mixed in with loose change, something in fine or circulated condition, can sell for $500 to $2,000 if it has a clear double die error. That's already impressive. But the real shock comes when you look at coins in much better shape. A single Idaho quarter graded near the top of the Mint State scale, Mint State 68, with a strong double die error, sold for a stunning $95,000. That sale made headlines in the coin community and even surprised longtime collectors. It proved that modern coins, even state quarters, can reach unbelievable values when rare errors are involved. But believe it or not, the story gets even more exciting. Beyond the double designs, the Idaho State Quarter also produced one of the rarest and most valuable types of coin errors a collector can hope to find: wrong planchet strikes. A planchet is the small, blank metal disc that gets stamped into a coin. Each type of coin has its own metal recipe and size. But during busy production periods, or during testing, a few plankets meant for other coins can get mixed into the wrong batch. And when that happens, quarters can be struck on metals meant for nickels, or dollars, or sometimes even foreign coins. In the case of the Idaho quarter, a few coins were accidentally struck on Sacagawea dollar plankets. These plankets have a golden tone and a different texture. When the quarter design was stamped onto them, the results were striking literally and visually. Instead of the usual silver color, these Idaho quarters shine with a soft gold hue, instantly catching the eye of anyone who looks closely. Only a small number of these wrong metal Idaho quarters are known to exist, but every one of them is worth a fortune. One verified example sold at auction for more than $210,000. Think about that, over $400,000 for a coin that was supposed to be worth 25 cents. That kind of value is almost hard to believe, and yet it's very real. Even a circulated Idaho quarter, the kind with gentle wear, slight dulling, and a natural brownish patina, might still hide something special. That soft aging doesn't erase mint errors. In fact, certain tones and textures can even help reveal unusual metal types. For example, a warm copper-like shine might hint at a transitional planchet or a test metal blank that somehow slipped through the mint. When checking your Idaho quarter, pay extra attention to the falcon's eye, wings, and talons. Doubling here is a common clue. The word liberty, doubled letters or thicker lines. The motto and rim lettering. Look for doubled edges or shadows. The color, a golden or unusual tone, can hint at a wrong planchet strike. The weight, even a tiny difference can mean a completely different metal. The surface texture, mismatched shine or luster can signal an error. Every one of these small details can change a quarter from a simple 25-cent coin into a once-in-a-lifetime discovery. What makes this story almost poetic is the image at the center of the coin, the peregrine falcon. It's one of the fastest animals on Earth, known for speed, accuracy, and sharp vision. Yet in this case, a tiny imperfection at the mint turned the falcon into the face of one of the most valuable modern coin errors ever discovered. Collectors chase these rare pieces with the same focus and determination that the falcon itself shows in flight. And that brings us to an important point: you never know what you might have. You might be holding history without even realizing it. A coin you've had for years, a coin sitting inside a drawer, a coin you almost spent on a soda could quietly be worth more than a new car, more than a year's salary, or even more than the price of a home. So, before you toss the 2007 Idaho quarter back into your change jar, take one more careful look. Examine the details, check the color, hold it under a light, and tilt it back and forth. You might be looking at one of the most valuable modern coin errors ever found, and it might be sitting right in your hand at this very moment. That is the true magic of collecting. History isn't locked away in museums. Sometimes, it's hiding in your pocket, waiting for the right person to notice. Now we turn our attention to one of the most captivating coins in the entire 50-state quarters program, one that celebrates music, history, culture, and one of the most unique states in America. Today, we're traveling down to the deep south, to swamps, jazz-filled streets, old oak trees, and the home of gumbo, riverboats, and Mardi Gras. This is the story of the 2002 Louisiana State Quarter, a coin bursting with history and hiding some surprising treasures that could make even an ordinary-looking piece worth far more than you expect. At first glance, the Louisiana quarter stands out for its beautiful and almost storybook-like design. Right in the center is the outline of the United States, and inside the shape, Louisiana is shaded to show where it sits. To the right, we see a shimmering trumpet, representing the state's deep musical roots, especially its title as the birthplace of jazz. Just below the trumpet is a tiny pelican, the state bird, watching over the scene as if guarding Louisiana's natural treasures. And at the bottom, we see a reminder of one of the biggest moments in American history, the Louisiana Purchase of 1803, when the United States bought the land that would eventually become 15 states. This massive purchase doubled the size of the country and opened the door to generations of growth. Even before we talk about value, the Louisiana quarter is already packed with meaning. It's like a pocket-sized postcard, telling the story of exploration, music, culture, and one of the most important land deals ever made. But as powerful as that story is, what collectors love most isn't always the design, it's the surprises hidden deep in the metal. And that brings us to the exciting part. Just like other state quarters, the Louisiana quarter has its own set of rare minting mistakes, errors that slipped through unnoticed and ended up in pockets, piggy banks, and old drawers. And some of these error coins can be worth hundreds, thousands, or even tens of thousands of dollars. Let's start with the first major type, double die errors. As collectors began examining Louisiana quarters, a few sharp-eyed hunters noticed something odd. On certain coins, the trumpet lines appeared doubled, almost like the instrument was vibrating on the metal. On others, the words Louisiana Purchase showed faint shadows or doubled edges. And on some extremely rare examples, the outline of the state itself had a ghost-like doubling effect, making it look as if Louisiana was shifting slightly on the map. These doubled dies can be hard to see at first, but under magnification, they jump out instantly. And because they were caused by mistakes in the creation of the dies themselves, every coin made with that faulty die carries the same doubling, and that makes them valuable. A Louisiana quarter with a noticeable doubled die can bring anywhere from $75 to $500, even in circulated condition. But a sharp, uncirculated example one with no major scratches and plenty of shine can easily climb to $2,000 or more depending on where the doubling appears. But the story doesn't stop there. The 2000 to Louisiana quarter is also known for another rare problem at the mint: off-center strikes. An off-center strike happens when the coin blank shifts before the die comes down. Instead of a perfect, centered image, you end up with a design that's pushed to one side, with a blank crescent area around the edge. Some off-center errors are tiny 5% or 10%, but collectors always go wild for the big ones. A Louisiana quarter that is 20% to 40% off-center, yet still shows the full date, can sell for $1,500 to $3,000, and what about the really dramatic ones? Well, one Louisiana quarter struck nearly 50% off-center sold for more than $4,500, simply because the mistake was bold, clean, and centered enough to show the outline of Louisiana clearly. Next, we have one of the most exciting error types of all: wrong planchette strikes. This is when the mint accidentally uses the wrong metal blank to make a coin. During the state quarter years, the mint was producing nickels, dimes, and Sacagawea dollars all at the same time. Every once in a while, a blank intended for another coin slips into the wrong bin. And that's exactly what happened with a few Louisiana quarters. Some were struck on nickel plankets. These errors weigh less than a normal quarter and have a slightly duller shine. A confirmed nickel planchette Louisiana quarter sold for more than $8,000 at auction. Even rarer still, a tiny number were struck on Sacagawea dollar plankets, giving them a warm, golden tone. These are extremely scarce. If authenticated, they can reach $25,000 to $40,000 depending on condition. But the rarest and most mysterious Louisiana error of all might be the clad layer missing variety. A normal quarter has two outer layers of copper nickel and a copper core. But on a very small number of Louisiana quarters, one side is missing its top layer entirely. This gives the coin a strange, almost half silver, half copper appearance. These odd-looking pieces often weigh less and have a unique texture. A Louisiana quarter with a missing clad layer sold for over $3,000, and that was for a circulated piece. In uncirculated condition, these can go for $5,000 or more. Now let's talk about something every collector should watch for: toning. Because Louisiana is a humid state with lots of moisture in the air, many coins stored or found their age in interesting ways. Some Louisiana quarters develop deep golden edges, rainbow-like colors, or smoky gray patterns. If the toning is natural and beautiful, collectors will pay a surprising premium. A richly toned, uncirculated Louisiana quarter once sold for $600, even without any error, just because the colors were rare and visually striking. So what should you look for in your Louisiana quarter? Doubling on the trumpet, the map outline, or the lettering. Off-center designs with the date still visible. Weird color or golden tone, which could signal a wrong planchette. A lighter or heavier weight than a typical quarter. A missing clad layer on either side, naturally beautiful toning. Clear, sharp details with little wear. Even a circulated Louisiana quarter known with scratches, dullness, and pocket wear could hide a valuable error. And that brings us to the heart of this story. The Louisiana quarter isn't just a coin. It's a celebration of music, culture, and one of the greatest land purchases ever made. It honors a state known for jazz, food, adventure, and history, so rich you can almost feel it in the air. But it's also a reminder that even the most ordinary-looking coin can hold a secret. A tiny mistake at the U.S. Mint, a shift in metal, or a doubled image can turn a simple 25-cent piece into something worth thousands of dollars. And now, we arrive at the grand finale, the coin that honors America's 200th birthday. The 1776 to 1976 Bicentennial Quarter. This is one of the most loved and most recognized coins ever made in the United States. And if you've been thinking that your old, scratched, worn-down Bicentennial Quarter isn't worth a second thought, get ready because this next part might stop you right in your tracks. The design alone makes this coin unforgettable. On the back, you see a proud colonial drummer, standing tall as if ready to lead the march toward freedom. Above him, a torch symbolizes victory, and around him are 13 stars, one for each of the original colonies. Even when the coin is faded or beat up, the meaning behind it still shines through. It's more than a piece of metal, it's a piece of America you can hold in your hand. But here's the secret most people never hear about. While the majority of bicentennial quarters were made from regular copper nickel for everyday use, a smaller group was struck in 40% silver for special collector sets. That alone makes them valuable. But the real twist is this: a number of those silver bicentennial quarters somehow slipped out into normal circulation by mistake. That means the dull, ordinary-looking bicentennial quarter sitting in a coffee can, an old drawer, or your childhood coin jar could actually be made of silver. And if it is, its value jumps from 25 cents to several $100s right away, sometimes more, if it's in nicer condition. But believe it or not, that's only the beginning of the story. A few bicentennial quarters were struck on the wrong metal blanks entirely. One was even made on a planchet intended for a 1977 quarter, giving it a strange mix of metals. Others were made on experimental copper-silver layers the mint was testing at the time. These unusual pieces are so rare that when they appear, they send shockwaves through the coin world. One of these wrong metal bicentennial quarters sold for close to $250,000, and then there are the dramatic double-die errors. One famous example showed clear doubling on the drummer's face and drumsticks, giving the design a shadowy, almost 3D effect. That one sold for over $100,000 at auction. But perhaps the most astonishing of all is the proof bicentennial quarter with a full mirror-like shine and a doubled front design. On that coin, even the date 1776 to 1976 shows crisp, sharp doubling that's easy to see under magnification. Only a few of these are confirmed to exist, and one of them reportedly sold privately for nearly $475,000. Yes, you heard that right, almost $500,000 for a single quarter. Even in rough condition, these coins can be worth taking seriously. It all comes down to whether your quarter has one of these rare features. Look closely at the drummer. Are the drumsticks doubled? Does the face or uniform look slightly shifted? Do the stars show unusual outlines? Any of these could reveal a hidden treasure. Check the color too. A silver bicentennial quarter often has a slightly different shine or tone than a regular one. And a coin that feels heavier or sounds different when dropped gently on a table might also hold clues. Mistakes like off-center strikes, odd textures, or unusual luster can all point towards something truly special. What makes the bicentennial quarter so powerful isn't just its value, it's what it represents. This coin celebrates 200 years of American history, pride, and independence. It reminds us that our past isn't just written in books. Sometimes it's hiding in plain sight, waiting to be discovered in everyday places. These quarters connect generations. They carry stories of childhood collections, forgotten stashes, and lucky finds that change people's lives overnight. They prove that chance, curiosity, and a little bit of knowledge can uncover incredible surprises. So before you toss that old 1776 to 1976 quarter back into your change jar, take a careful second look. That faded piece of metal might be more than you ever imagined. It could be one of the most valuable mistakes the U.S. Mint has ever made. And that's the true thrill of coin collecting. Every coin holds a mystery, every pocket could hide a fortune. And every one of us has the chance to uncover a small but powerful piece of American history.